On two wars in the Middle East, there is growing concern over the prospect of another between Israel and Iran. National security correspondent Jennifer Griffin reports on what has triggered the latest beating of war drums in the region.
And Jesus answered and said to them, "Take heed that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and will deceive many."
The Church of England has agreed to allow gay clergy in civil partnerships to become bishops, a decision that threatens to reignite conflict with conservatives in the Anglican Communion.
In future, clergy and civil partnerships may become bishops, provided they promise to be celibate and to keep to church teaching about homosexuality.
While the church has allowed gay people in civil partnerships to become priests since 2005, it clarified Friday that they could go on to become bishops as well. The issue of homosexuality has driven a rift between Western and African Anglicans since a Canadian diocese approved blessings for same-sex couples in 2002. And United States Anglicans and the Episcopal Church appointed an openly gay bishop in 2003. According to Al Jazeera, the decision was initially made in late December, but received little attention until it was announced Friday.
For this reason, God gave them up to vile passions. For even their women exchanged the natural use for what is against nature. Likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust for one another, men with men committing what is shameful, and receiving in themselves the penalty of their error which was due. Who, knowing the righteous judgment of God, that those who practice such things are deserving of death, not only do the same, but also approve of those who practice them.
Good morning and welcome to you, friends and family who have travelled from near and far to witness and celebrate the marriage of Chuck and Steve. They are taking the first step of their new beginning, their new life together.
But from the beginning of the creation God made them male and female. For this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So then, they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore what God has joined together, let not man separate.
First, Iran tested a new short-range missile that would place Navy vessels in the Persian Gulf in jeopardy. Then Israel tested a new ballistic missile capable of carrying a nuclear payload. Leaks from Tel Aviv suggest Israel is planning a military strike on Iran's nuclear sites, reports the Pentagon is taking seriously. Today, a top U.S. military commander told reporters Iran is now the greatest threat to regional security in the Middle East, greater than al-Qaeda.
And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines, pestilences, and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of sorrows.
18 حميدية
But U.S. military officials and observers are increasingly concerned Israel will act alone.
Is Israel truly serious about planning? The answer is yes. It's conducted air exercises recently which very much improve their capability to know exactly what they can do in very long-range strikes.
One senior military source says if Israel strikes, the U.S. will not stop its warplanes. Defense Minister Ehud Barak has made repeated trips to the Pentagon in recent months, and Pentagon sources note that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu purged his military in recent months of generals who do not support an Iran strike. Israel has the capability, a few squadrons of F-15 and F-16 fighter jets, and now has an air refueling capability, and with the U.S. pulling out of Iraq at the end of the year, Israeli fighter jets have a clear route to Iran over Iraqi airspace if they want it.
We're really talking perhaps several squadrons that could actually fly deep into Iran.
And Iran's ability to stop an airstrike is limited.
Quite frankly, those air defenses in general date back to the time of the Shah.
Could Israel be bluffing?
I wouldn't necessarily call it a bluff. I would call it a scene setting for in advance of the IAEA report coming out. I think Israel's trying to increase pressure in support of getting more countries to acquiesce to sanctions against Iran.